The controversial cybercrime bill referred to a select committee of Parliament. The tourism minister speaks of efforts to drive tourism business from Africa. The fate of this cell tower hangs in the balance as nearby residents demand its removal. And in sports, defending women's Super 50 Cup champs Barbados lose their title defense opener to Jamaica.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. Consideration of the controversial cybercrime bill has been paused in the upper house for the time being. This was disclosed by Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cadell.
The crime bill has already passed in the lower house. A decision has been made to refer it to one of Parliament's standing committees. Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cadell, explains this will allow concerned parties to make presentations before the committee and creates the potential for amendments to be made.
We're not in any hurry. I ask that we pause, that we have the legislation go to Standing Committee of Parliament, that we have the consultations that are needed, that everyone has the opportunity to step forward and to present their concerns, and then sure-footed together, we take the legislation back to the upper house.
Ms. Cadell was speaking during the inaugural meeting of the Caribbean chapter of the International Institute of Communications, or IIC. Through meetings, the IIC connects communications regulators, experts and innovators, creating opportunities for open dialogue, the exchange of ideas and shaping of digital policy. The minister has welcomed the new chapter, which she believes, as an independent body, would be better poised to lead some key discussions.
Even in cases where we have the answer, the question is still important because it allows us to answer. But it's why I say that we need a particular balance brought to the conversation, brought to the dialogue in the public domain. And I believe that institutions such as yours are the perfect place, independent as you are, for these conversations to take place.
Director General Len Robinson says the benefits of being a member of the IIC include keeping up with regulatory debates, policy updates, and the latest policy thinking.
Membership really takes the difficulty away, particularly when the political backdrop changes constantly. We also know that it's very difficult to find organisations that are truly unbiased, and we are that unbiased organisation with our neutrality and the trust that we offer. But it's also important to explain who we're not. So we're not a trade association or a lobbying body, nor are we driven by a politically focused agenda. We are neutral and an independent convener.
Individuals and organizations in fields such as media, telecommunications and industry, as well as regulatory bodies, are expected to make up the membership of the Caribbean chapter. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Home Affairs and Information Wilfred Abrams says although AI or artificial intelligence is a hot topic in recent times, the importance of social media to the communications landscape must not be underestimated. As an example, he highlighted the role social media played in recapturing an inmate who escaped Dodds prison last September.
As the prison break happened, we put out a picture of him and a description of him, and we put it out through all the media channels. But what we also did was send that information to some of the more popular bloggers in Barbados. You will not believe the public feedback we got through using that channel that allowed us to actually pinpoint him very, very quickly. I mean, there was some nonsense in there, right? But we were able to pinpoint him using technology, using drones, using feedback from social media, and capturing him in very, very short order. So it has its uses, but equally, it can be very destructive because a lot of the players operate from behind a veneer of anonymity.
We turn our attention now to the estimates debate in Parliament. The focus continued on tourism, and Wendy Burt joins us now to bring us the latest. Wendy.
Well, Pearson, we heard from Tourism Minister Ian Gooding-Edgell today that discussions continue to drive tourism business from the African continent. He says it is a work in progress, with more detail to be provided later.
At the appropriate time, the BTMI will be making an announcement with respect to an officer that we would like to place in that market, because it's important that we do so in order to have a person on the ground coordinating and driving the behind the gateway marketing, because if we're going to have a flight coming out of Africa, we have to be in a position to sustain it, and that's very important. It will also create an opportunity if we can get an airline or airlines out of Africa for the connectivity onwards, for example, connectivity onto the United States or the UK.
Also from Parliament, we heard that government is reporting millions of dollars in profits because of a turnaround in business for the Barbados Hilton Hotel and Needham's Point development. Financial Director Nigel Hall says occupancy levels at the hotel have increased significantly post-COVID.
As a company that owns the property and manages it, we've seen also a significant turnaround in the fortunes. So we were able to move from a loss during COVID, and now we have been able to receive a profit in excess of $9 million for 2023. And it's projected that as we go into the next financial year, that profit will grow to $10 million and possibly exceeding.
We're also hearing more about plans to ensure members of the disabled community are included in the island's tourism development process. Manager of Product Quality at the Barbados Tourism Product Authority, Lana Harewood, says they have not been left out of the new tourist accommodation bill.
That bill right now is with the Chief Parliamentary Council, and it does take into account 20 designators, which the hoteliers can apply for. These designators will highlight prominent features of the establishment, and one of the designators is universal access. And within the bill, the universal access will take into account the international universal access criteria, as well as our national universal access criteria.
The estimates debate resumes at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Pearson?
Wendy, thank you. In other news now, Barbados has been removed from the updated UK list of high-risk third countries. Attorney General Dale Marshall says this is consistent with the country's removal from the FATF grey list under enhanced supervision.
In terms of conditionalities, at this point, we are not aware of any further conditionalities that have to be met. In fact, the removal from the UK blacklist has been automatic. The removal from the EU blacklist is a bit of a different process because they have to submit our removal to all of the EU states, and those EU states then have the opportunity to object. I don't anticipate that there'll be any objection from them. And therefore, I anticipate that within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we should receive good news in relation to the EU blacklist.
One of the benefits of the removal from these lists redounds to correspondent banking.
Because we've been on this list of jurisdictions that require enhanced due diligence, enhanced supervision, it meant that for many countries, they needed to increase the level of due diligence on money transfers in and out of Barbados. And that presented problems for us. But now that we've got off of the FATF list, off of the UK list, our ability to maintain and develop new correspondent banking relationships has been significantly enhanced. And with the EU to go, we anticipate that when we cross that hurdle, we'll be standing in good stead in relation not just to correspondent banking, but also in relation to our reputation as a domicile for business.
Telecommunications provider Digicel will have to apply for permission to keep its recently installed cell tower at Holders Hill, St. James. This was revealed by Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cattle. Her comments came as residents of the area continue to express concern about the erection of the tower. Sharika Griffith has been following that story.
Residents of Olive Lodge Road, Holders Hill, St. James, including this 85-year-old gentleman, are making it clear that this cell tower erected in their community must go.
We are again seeing that tower move. Yes. To the last drop of blood. Put it in your report.
Speaking during the third community meeting called to discuss the matter, member of the Neighborhood Executive Committee, Dr. Jennifer Allen, explained their issue with the structure.
Their own regulation states that the tower should be at least 65 feet away from any residence. That current tower is 40 feet. It was 15 feet before. So they moved it a little bit closer to another residence, but still only 40 feet away from Sister Gloria's house. There are elderly people and people with illnesses living around that cell tower.
Opposition leader Ralph Thorne joined the residents in support.
I understand that there was no consultation, that they almost did it in a manner that was disrespectful to the residents of this community, and you don't do business like that. You don't plant something in the middle of a community that is potentially harmful to the health of people without at least consulting them.
And in a further development today, Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cattle, confirmed the company has been instructed to apply to the relevant government department for permission.
The utility in question here has been made to apply for planning permission, and the Planning and Development Department and that ministry will determine whether it has met the burden to receive such a permission. If not, the cell on wheels tower in question will be removed.
In the meantime, residents say they will be seeking permission from the police to stage a protest in front of the Prime Minister's office as the Digital Infrastructure Unit within the Ministry of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology is working remotely due to environmental issues. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
We'll take a break here, but coming up, more than 1,000 houses built by government since January last year. Housing Minister Dwight Sutherland says government is moving to address the demand for housing locally, and it will provide more homes for citizens. Speaking at the Barbados Labour Party's St. George South branch meeting last evening, Mr. Sutherland revealed 727 houses were built last year, while 304 have been constructed already for this year. He's also touched on what's in the pipeline.
Soon in Clifton and St. Philip, I have 12 houses there waiting for persons to enter. Up by you, Starboy. In St. Philip North. In Hackett Hall, another 12. When you go to White Park Road, it's 16. When you journey to St. Lucie, to Coconut Hall, it's another 20. Brighton just started. The infrastructure at Brighton. We are building 42 at Brighton. And the good news for you, the people of St. George South, the cabinet just approved 56 acres. And if you average 10 houses per acre, this for St. George, 560 at a minimum.
And at that meeting, Senior Minister with responsibility for the productive sector, Kerry Simmons, responded to recent allegations made by businessman Anderson Cherry. Minister Simmons notes the government has not been consolidating wealth, nor has it been discriminating against black-owned businesses.
How do you say that you are being denied opportunity when only yesterday your equipment was down in Graham Hall Swamp doing work for the Barbados Water Authority? You had responsibility in part for the Barbados Water Authority, Brother Springer. Comrade Springer would tell you all the sewage lines and so on, when they're clearing them, is Brother Cherry at the table? He is very much at the table. So So how can you be doing work for the Barbados Water Authority, but you are still black, but say you don't get work from the government because you are black?
The man who up until last month held the title as the island's oldest man has been laid to rest. Family members were full of praise as they remembered Rupert Springer during a viewing on Friday. Sharika Griffith reports.
Rupert Sidney Springer died less than 4 weeks shy of his 108th birthday. His daughter, Major Colleen Springer, says she was not surprised by his long life.
He did a lot of hard work, he ate a lot of wrong food, and he cared himself. He was always very active, from one activity to another. He was never a lazy man, never a lazy man. So I knew that he had long life in him.
As family and other well-wishers gathered in the chapel of Anderson Funeral Home for a viewing, they recalled some of the many jobs Mr. Springer held as he sought to support his wife and 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. No stranger to hard work, his son Clayton recalls Mr. Springer working as a rock blaster, well digger, agricultural worker, and even a freighter in his younger days.
In his younger days would have helped build Sewell Airport, walking from St. Lucie to Christchurch on Sunday evening, so as to arrive in time for work on Monday morning and come back down on weekends. He worked all over the island and he walked quite a distance. That speaks to the hard work that he did, because he was consumed with a desire to support his family on his own.
Mr. Springer was also a devout Christian and a strict disciplinarian who sought to instill values in younger generations.
I can remember very well when there was a disagreement between this particular sister and myself. If there were lashes, he would share the lashes. Then he would say, y'all need to kiss and make up in front of me. And then he would give a cup of water for us to drink. That had to settle it, because we couldn't carry our disagreements any further than at that particular point.
Following a funeral service at the Mount Summit New Testament Church of God, Rupert Sidney Springer was laid to rest at the Mount Pleasant Memorial Gardens. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Sports Night is brought to you by Powerade. Pause is power. And the Sunny. Live life the sunny after.
Time for us to now to look at Sports Night tonight as we're joined by Anne-Marie Burr. Anne-Marie, I must tell you, phenomenal job on Saturday with your coverage of the Sandy Lane Gold Cup. You may take a bow.
Thank you very much,
There she goes. She takes a bow.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Well, Pinelands has repeated as champions of the BABA President's Cup after defeating Burger King Clapham Bulls in the final last night at the Barbados Community College. Playing for the Derek Garrett Memorial Trophy, the Pine pushed on from a close first half to win by double digits, as Mark Seal reports.
The first half of the contest was what you would want of a final: competitiveness. Bulls point guard Simeon Maynard and big man Akeem Marsh playing the pick and roll, which led to Marsh freed up for the uncontested bank shot. At the other end, Darren Hurley also has an open look, but he still has to make the shot, one of his 3 threes, as Darren contributed 13 points from 60% accuracy beyond the arc. Staying with Pinelands, the other Hurley, Captain Derrening, also likes the long ball, and he made 4 from 9 in his 16-point performance. Scoring threes was an area that Pinelands outshone Clapham. The Bulls only made 5 total, and Maynard accounted for 2 of them in his team-high 22. Now, whilst players from both camps came determined, the one who mostly looked ultra-ready for business was Rashid Maynard, here working the one-on-one with Raheem Gibbons, and finally taking it strong to the hole with little concern for the shot-blocking threat of Marsh. And of the players who got into double figures, the Bulls skipper, Gibbons, had the best field goal percentage. He shot 54% with only 1 missed 2-pointer, but he only made 1 of 5 threes in his 17 points. Marsh, on the other hand, shot 36%, but that was greatly reduced because of 0 from 4 from 3. Marsh, though, made 5 of 10 in 2-point shots in his 14 points. But Pinelands still only had a 5-point lead at the half, 37-32. It was from the third quarter that the final ceased to become a close contest. Junior Moore had 12 rebounds for the Pine, 4 of them on offense, and on this occasion, the second attempt ended up being a 3 for Maynard, who had a game-high 30 points, including 4 from downtown. Moore actually was 1 point short of a double-double, as he added 9 points to his 12 boards, here nailing his only attempt at 3 on a dare from Marsh to take the shot. Then there were the turnovers, 13 by Bulls, with the tournament's MVP, Rashid Maynard, here with a steal from Caleb Gaskin's attempted pass, and he had the easy layup. The Pine increased their lead to 21 points by the end of the third. More dominance by the Pine in the fourth, Derany with the ankle breaker and the step-back 3. Simeon Maynard, though, would get his revenge after that play. Here, he's fouled while making the 3 for a 4-point play. But that didn't dent the deficit by much, as Pineland still won by 15, 86-71, to repeat as President's Cup champs. Mark Seal, CBC Sports.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
In the Business Report, the importance of mastering soft skills is the focus of a program being undertaken by several students to make them better prepared for the world of work. Now in its 8th year, the program, dubbed Preparing Today for Tomorrow's Challenges, is an initiative of the University of the West Indies Open Campus. Trevor Thorpe has been following that story.
Facilitator and coordinator of the program, Sandra Griffith-Carrington, said corporate Barbados has been complaining about the quality of students entering the workforce. Those concerns were heard and answered by the UWI's Open Campus. She said the program is in 12 schools.
This program starts with presenting yourself properly, and then we go into effective communication. We teach them how to answer the telephone, what kind of emails you should write, and then we go into dealing with difficult people. You know that there's some people in the office that could tend to be difficult. They deal with conflict resolution, and then wardrobe management. They need to know how you can have few clothing and still look like if you have a lot. We teach them the resume writing and the interview process.
The facilitator said the program is critical for the development of the future workforce and gave some insight into the objectives of the exercise.
The basic dining etiquette, where we teach them, we don't ask for doggy bags. We don't pank our plates like this when we go out. And that is important that they know how to use the right cutlery. We have found students who come here, and remember this is returning fifth farmers, and they are still only eating with a spoon.
Michael Chen, who wants to become a mechanical engineer, is a student of the program.
It was very good and very interesting and fun. I did the program last year. It taught me how to be a lot more confident in stuff and more to communicate with others, because I came in Barbados in COVID, so it was online school. It was very difficult to communicate with students. So it helped me build confidence and learn how to communicate better with the students at my school.
Mrs. Griffith-Carrington says she is pleased to report that past students have returned and have offered their service to the program. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
38,000 animals are slaughtered in Barbados annually. The revelation came from Chairman of Southern Meats Incorporated, Sherwin Greenidge, as he addressed a church service at the Calvary Temple Community Church at Groves St. Philip to mark the 25th anniversary of the company. Speaking just before Southern Meats presented a check to the church, Mr. Greenidge said Southern Meats Incorporated accounts for the lion's share of the slaughtering market.
Presently, Southern Meats controls 67% of the market, and the other 33% are shared among the other registered facilities. About 90% of the animals slaughtered at Southern Meats are pigs. We love a lot of pork. The potential of Southern Meats continues to hinge primarily on the increase in throughput, and hence we seek to regularly interact with our stakeholders, such as the Barbados Agricultural Development Marketing Company, the Barbados Agricultural Society, the Barbados Pig Farmers Cooperative, Sundale Training, Port City First Choice, TSA Limited, JL's Meat, DT Meats, Inez Premium Meats, Pig Production, and of course, the many small farmers who collectively provide approximately 50% of our throughput.
We're rejoining Anne-Marie Burke now with even more sports. Anne-Marie?
As promised, I have some swimming for you. A number of swimmers cemented their place on the Carifta team by meeting the standard required on the final day of the Basel Long Course National Championships at the Aquatic Center yesterday. 8 swimmers achieved A qualifying standards. In the girls' 13 to 14 800-meter freestyle, Heidi South and Isabella Mears swam 9 minutes 29.64 seconds and 9 minutes 57.72 respectively to surpass the 10-minute 10.48 second required standard. Stout also had a qualifying time when she won the 50-meter freestyle in a time of 27.43 seconds. Jazz Simmons also qualified in that event with a time of 27.46, and she too was also in Carifta standards in the 13 to 14 girls 200-meter backstroke with a 2-minute 33.20 second clocking. Also qualified in 2 events was Aaliyah Graves in the girls 11 to 12 200-meter backstroke with a winning swim of 2 minutes 48.81 seconds and in the 50-meter freestyle with a 29.43. Kaija Eastman also met the A standard in that event when she was second in 29.59 seconds. The other girl making the Carifta standard on the final day was Sanaya Minis in the 11 to 12 girls 100-meter breaststroke with a time of 1 minute 23.62 seconds. In the boys, Mihail Sobers met the standard for the 11 to 12 200-meter backstroke with a time of 2 minutes 36.12 seconds, and Joshua Ross with a time of 1 minute 08.08 seconds qualified in the boys 15 to 17 100-meter breaststroke. The Carifta Swimming Championships 2024 is scheduled for March 20th to April 7th in the Bahamas. To drafts now, Ronald Suki King has taken the lead in the Henderson Lane Elite Drafts Tournament. After rounds 3 and 4 at the Draft Center in Best Road, Christchurch, Suki tops the tables with 11 points. He defeated junior post Waldron 2 Love and then earned a 1-all draw with Rawl Schoolboy Williams. Suki will now meet rival Jack Francis, who's second on 10 points, on Thursday in round 5. Richard Grisette also had 10 points after securing a 1-love victory. In other results, Geoffrey Sox Clark took care of Julian Burgess 2-love, while Francis drew with Waldron and beat Michael Barker at 1-love. There was also a victory for Carson Farley. Now, the Barbados Football Association has recently honored one of the island's most prominent national players. CBC's Amar Goodrich Boyce has that story.
Local footballers will have a new practice facility, and it's named after one of Barbados' greatest players ever. It's called the Philip Bladgrove Training Pitch.
The new grass field is fully funded by regional governing body CONCACAF, and BFA President Randy Harris said Mr. Bladgrove deserves to be etched in local history, hence why the pitch is named after him. Harris said it's a token of appreciation for Bladgrove's contribution to football in Barbados.
I think the board is behind me that Philip deserves to have a prominent place in Barbados football. And since CONCACAF was so generous to fund our grass field, but I can assure you that within a couple of weeks, we will have the best grass field in Barbados. And I just want to say that that field will be named the Philip Bladgrove Training Pitch.
Bladgrove, a former Barbados and Notre Dame star goalkeeper, was emotional as he thanked the BFA for the honor, and he reminisced on his best moment as a national player.
In Jamaica, when they saved the penalty, you know me, and that's the first time Barbados ever beat Jamaica. And Donovan was my coach, and that's the first time in my life I was ever fit. I can understand what fitness. That save alone. Adrian Hall scored the penalty, scored the goal, and they saved the penalty. That's one of my best outstanding games in my life.
And Margaret Ridge Boyce, CBC Sports.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.